Princess Zora of Yumeya was the very image of grace, elegant as falling silk, untouchable as moonlight on water. Her beauty inspired ballads, her compassion the kind whispered about in bedtime stories. In times of peace, she had been the nation's jewel. But now, as Yumeya gasped under the weight of drought, famine, and rising violence, she had become its lifeline. Once lush fields lay in brittle ruin, their cracked earth bleeding dust into the wind. Merchant stalls, once overflowing with fruit and spice, now stood half empty under a gray, sulking sky. And yet, the people looked to her, starving, desperate, hopeful. Then came the royal decree from Rosenway. In 10 weeks, King Dolian would choose a bride from among 10 royal houses. The chosen princess would secure her nation's salvation through marriage, an alliance forged in silk and ceremony, bound by trade and coin. It was diplomacy dressed as courtship, a desperate game of favors. The moment Yumeya's king read the scroll, he had snapped to attention. Orders flew through the palace like arrows. Tailors, jewelers, speech coaches, etiquette tutors, no expense spared. Princess Zora's beauty may have been legendary, but legends, it seemed, were not enough. She was too quiet, too gentle, and there would be 9 other contenders. What had once been framed as noble, a selfless offering of royal daughters for their people's survival, now unfolded like a farce, a pageant, a parade of kingdoms laying their pride at the feet of a man whispered to be more shadow than king. Dolian, with eyes darker than stormglass and a voice that turned blood to frost. Zora's stomach churned tighter with each passing day. At night, she traced the frost-rimmed window pane with trembling fingers, wondering if the king could sense weakness the way wolves sensed it in the wild. But there was no choice. Children cried in the alleys for bread. Soldiers bled in wars sparked by greed, not honor. Zora had been born to serve her people, and if this was the price, her name, her hand, her future, she would pay it. When the carriage arrived at the gates, polished and glinting like a golden coffin, the people lined the streets to cheer. They tossed petals into the road and sang songs of hope, though their voices were thin and tired. Zora took one last look at the palace, its towers bleached pale by sun and sorrow, then climbed into the velvet-lined cage.
For all of you,
she thought, her heart a weight in her chest.
I will do this for all of you.
The carriage rocked unevenly as it left the city walls behind, a rhythm that grew harsher with each mile. Rain came first, soft at first, then thick and relentless, then wind. And by the time they reached the mountains, sleet tore at the curtains and froze the mud to the wheels. Zora didn't complain. She couldn't. But by the 3rd day, her limbs ached from bracing against the constant jostling, and her voice had turned hoarse from the cold air that slipped through every seam of the carriage. Her attendants did what they could to keep her warm, but the damp seeped into her bones. Her gowns lost their crispness, her boots were soaked through, and her once perfect hair now curled limply against her cheeks. Still, she sat straight and silent. Every night, she repeated the same words under her breath like prayer.
For them, for Yumeya, for the children, for the hungry.
By the 5th day, her hands were blistered from gripping the edge of her seat. By the 7th, she could hardly recognize herself in the mirror. The journey had taken more than twice as long as anyone else's. All the other princesses hailed from nations neighboring Rosenway. 2 days, 3 at the most. Zora's 7-day trek made her arrival not only late, but visibly punishing. The color of Yumeya was gold, royal, dignified, radiant. And now, as the carriage creaked through the front gates, the irony was not lost on anyone. She looked anything but golden. When they finally reached the castle gates, it was dusk. Rosenway towered above the clouds. Vast, angular, beautiful in a way that felt cold and deliberate. Its spires rose like spears, draped in ivy and crowned with braziers. Banners flapped from the balconies, each marked with the crest and color of the 10 kingdoms. Scarlet for Dresden, sapphire for Saren, soft green for Helva, plum for Tureni, copper for Ruch, icy white for Solin, midnight blue for Aramel, rose pink for Vela, emerald for Gorin, and at the far end of the lineup, like the final flame of a dying star, gold for Yumeya. Zora stepped down from the carriage and instantly felt every pair of eyes. The other princesses had already arrived. They stood in a gleaming line before the palace steps, draped in silks, skin powdered, hair sculpted like marble statues. Their faces were fresh, untouched by wind or dirt or exhaustion. Not one bore the marks of a week-long journey. Not one had mud crusted on the hem of her gown or soot smudged beneath her eyes. Zora inhaled and stepped forward, ignoring the way her boots sank into the wet gravel, how her skirts clung to her legs like heavy vines.
Don't stumble, don't fall.
She thought silently.
You are still a princess, even now.
Trumpets sounded, sharp and echoing across the stone courtyard. The palace doors opened. And then he walked out, King Dolian of Rosenway. He moved like a blade unsheathed, fluid, sharp, and without hesitation. His cloak rippled behind him like shadow turned to silk, the deep black offset by crimson embroidery that caught the firelight with every step. His skin was sun-warmed bronze, smooth and glowing under the torchlight. His cheekbones were carved like stone, his jaw sharp, the curve of his mouth severe yet somehow magnetic. His hair was dark, and his eyes, oh, his eyes, dark as the deepest ink, darker than the night sky, darker than any nightmare. They didn't just look at you, they pressed. He seemed to see past faces, through flesh into thoughts. The princesses curtsied as one. Zora lowered herself more slowly, the chill in her legs making it harder to rise. Dolian began walking the line. His boots struck the marble like a metronome. One by one, he passed each girl, his gaze flickering briefly across faces, pausing now and then on gowns, hair, posture. But when he reached the gold, when he reached her, he stopped. Zora did not dare breathe. His eyes raked over her, the gold of her sash dulled by rain, her dark skin luminous even beneath grime, her hair now frizzed and tangled from the journey, her lips cracked, her eyes lined with weariness. She felt every flaw under that stare. He said nothing. And then he moved on. Zora's lungs trembled with the breath she hadn't realized she was holding. But it wasn't hope she felt. No.
He stared because I was filthy.
She thought.
Because I was the mess in the lineup, the cracked jewel, the irony of gold, undone.
Inside the palace, they were led to their private quarters, one wing of the royal residence repurposed for the trial. Zora was assigned a chamber at the far end of the hall. She barely made it to the vanity before collapsing onto the stool, catching a glimpse of herself in the mirror. She looked ghostly. Her natural curls had tightened unevenly, puffed at the ends and flattened from the damp. Her skin was dry around the lips and eyes, and beneath her lashes were faint, purple crescents like bruises. The high collar of her gown clung awkwardly to her throat, and her gold sash looked almost brown. Her maid entered quietly, beginning the process of undoing the journey's damage. Combing out knots, wiping down her skin, helping her slip into a robe. A soft knock echoed from the open door.
I simply adore your travel outfit,
Came a honeyed voice.
Was mud part of the style in Yumeya, or is that just a personal touch?
Zora turned to see a girl in a scarlet gown that shimmered like rubies. Her hair was swept up in a crown of golden pins. Her lips were red, smiling without warmth.
Princess Zora of Dresden,
the girl said. She did not curtsy.
Zora of Yumeya,
Zora replied. She stood, despite the ache in her legs.
Oh, I know,
Saraba said sweetly.
You made quite the impression. Honestly, I admire the strategy. Playing the poor, pitiful martyr. Bold. I wouldn't have thought of it myself.
Zora blinked.
It wasn't a strategy. I had a long journey.
Sarava pouted.
Oh, darling, we all had a journey. Some of us just endured it with grace.
Before Zora could respond, a second figure appeared. Taller, sharper, draped in deep blue.
Ignore her,
the newcomer said, voice low and cool.
She talks more when she's nervous.
Sarava turned with a glare.
I'm not nervous, just observant.
The second princess gave Zora a brief, unreadable glance.
Princess Faline of Saren.
Zora gave a polite nod.
Pleasure to meet you.
Baleen didn't smile.
We shall see.
The two disappeared down the hall, Sarava laughing under her breath. Zora sat back down, the heat rising in her chest now more from anger than embarrassment. She had been wrong. This wasn't some noble right. This was a bloodless war fought with beauty, charm, and calculation. And she had arrived covered in dirt. Zora rose to the sound of bells, soft, silvery tones echoing through the guest wing. The robe around her shoulders was warm, freshly pressed. Her skin had been oiled and soothed in the night, but the ache of the journey hadn't fully left her bones. She didn't know what to expect. None of them did. All they'd been told was that a formal breakfast would be held in the east courtyard. No other instructions were given. Her maid laced her into a pale gold dress, simple compared to yesterday's ruined finery. A fresh sash was tied at her waist. Her curls had been gently restored, pulled away from her face with pearl-tipped pins. She looked in the mirror and still didn't quite see a princess. Just a girl trying not to shake. In the hallway, the others were gathering. This time, she didn't walk behind. She stood among them. Sarava wore red silk and a matching smirk. Valine, in blue again, looked like she hadn't slept at all. The others were murmuring quietly. Some looked nervous, some rehearsed lines, and some looked perfectly poised.
Breakfast.
Someone muttered.
Finally, a chance to breathe.
Or a chance to impress,
Sarava said sweetly. Zora kept her thoughts to herself. They were led through the castle in silence, escorted not by servants, but by black-cloaked stewards with no visible faces. When they reached the courtyard, the doors opened without fanfare. 10 chairs, 1 long table, and only 1 meal. A gleaming silver tray of fruit, buttered rolls, smoked meat, and honeyed oats. 10 goblets, but only 1 was filled. Everything else was pristine. White tablecloth, gold plates, polished forks. But there was only enough food for 1. The doors shut behind them with a click, and a heavy silence settled like snow. No king, no steward, no instruction. Just them and the food.
What is this?
Asked a princess in green. From Gorin, Zora remembered.
a joke?
Said another.
Surely they're bringing more.
Or maybe this is the test.
Sarava said lightly, already stepping forward.
Who can handle a little confusion without falling apart?
Zora said nothing. Her stomach growled painfully, and she flinched as if someone might hear it. Her eyes flicked to Valine, who hadn't moved. The girl's mouth was tight, her hands behind her back.
What happens if someone eats it?
A girl whispered.
What happens if no one does?
Sarava tilted her head.
Well, I am famished.
She reached out, fingers nearly grazing the edge of a golden peach when Valine's voice cut the air.
Touch it, and you'll prove you're exactly what they think of you in Dresden.
Sarava's eyes narrowed.
And what is that exactly?
Entitled, predictable, desperate.
Zora scanned the group. Eyes darted. One princess stepped back, another edged forward. Her stomach clenched. She was starving. She hadn't had a full meal in days, but she also knew what real hunger looked like. This wasn't it. This was a trap. Her hands curled at her sides. Then, quietly, she spoke.
What if we shared it?
Every head turned.
We can separate it into 10 equal servings. That way, no one will be left empty-handed.
Some princesses blinked. One scoffed. Sarava laughed outright.
How noble.
She said.
And what? Do we cut the peach into slivers? Pass the oats around with a spoon?
Zora looked down.
It's better than one person eating while the rest starve.
Sarava smirked.
That's sweet.
She said.
But I didn't come here to be sweet.
A moment later, the door swung open with a slow, deliberate creak. In walked King Dolian. And even after seeing him the day before, Zora wasn't prepared. He was striking, tall, broad-shouldered, clad in all black save for a thin crimson sash draped across one shoulder. His features were sharp, eyes dark and endless, not cruel, not warm, just watching. The room stood as one. He raised a hand.
You may sit.
The princesses obeyed instantly. Dolian moved to the head of the table, looked at the untouched plates, and said nothing. When he finally spoke, his voice was cold and clear.
None of you ate.
He was met with tense silence. Each princess, even the boldest of them, held their breath in anxious anticipation.
I wondered who would.
He said. His eyes flicked around the table. Some princesses fumbled excuses. He held up a hand, silencing them all.
It was not a feast.
He said.
It was a test.
He circled behind them, the clicking of his boots on the marble floor echoing like a metronome.
Rulers make decisions in absence of clarity. They act despite uncertainty. Those who freeze lose. Those who wait too long starve.
He stopped behind Sarava.
Why did you suggest to begin?
Sarava turned in her chair, meeting his gaze with confidence.
Because if no one leads, nothing moves. I am a leader.
A small nod from Dolian. He continued to Valine.
You advised restraint. Why?
Because a wise queen acts when the moment is right, not before.
Dolian passed the girl in yellow.
You said nothing.
She flushed.
I wasn't sure what you wanted.
Or a reason to remain silent.
He said. Finally, he reached Zora.
You suggested they share.
Zora's throat tightened.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Why?
Because we were all here together. I thought maybe we didn't have to wait. That sharing would be fair.
A soft chuckle drifted down the table. Dolian's eyes narrowed.
So you're used to going without.
Zora flushed.
Yes.
He stepped closer, voice low.
Then you know firsthand that fairness does not keep you fed.
Zora's heart thundered because she disagreed, but she didn't dare tell him that.
You believe kindness equals strength.
Dolian said, stepping back.
I've seen how fast kindness dies on a battlefield.
He faced the room.
Perhaps you think you're here to impress me. You are not. You are here to reveal yourselves, and you already have.
His voice softened into something darker.
One of you will marry me. The rest will be sent home with nothing. That is not cruelty. That is reality.
He stepped fully toward them.
Tell me, why are you here?
Sarava answered first.
Because Dresden deserves the best king, and Rosenway, the very best queen.
Another spoke up.
My family believes I am the smartest of my sisters.
And another.
To make a name for my nation.
Next, the girl in yellow whispered.
My father said I had to.
Dolian's gaze fixed on Zora.
And you?
She hesitated, then raised her chin high and looked him square in the eyes.
Because they need me. My kingdom is dying, and no one else can fix it. So I'll do anything, even this.
Dolian's eyes darkened.
Even this?
He repeated, his mask softening briefly, a flicker of confusion crossing his brow.
Are you suggesting that you'd rather not be here?
Zora didn't cower.
I'd rather save my kingdom by my own merit.
She said quietly.
But I swore to do whatever it takes.
The silence that followed was thick. Then Dolian nodded once.
That will be all.
He turned and left, the doors closing behind him like a verdict.